The first rays of dawn barely touched the edges of the abandoned clock tower when Ethan arrived. The town had whispered stories about it for generations. Tales of people disappearing, clocks spinning backwards, and echoes of screams heard at midnight. But Ethan was a historian, a man obsessed with the study of time itself. Nothing supernatural, he thought, could interfere with the mechanics of a clock. Yet, as he stepped inside the dusty hall, a chill ran down his spine, and the hands of the massive grandfather clock near the entrance seemed to twitch without cause. He set his equipment down. Cameras, notebooks, and a peculiar device designed to measure temporal fluctuations. The town's legend spoke of a time haunt, a phenomenon that allegedly trapped people in loops of their worst fears. Ethan scoffed, but part of him wondered, what if the legends were based on something real? By noon, he had explored every floor. Broken gears littered the ground, and shadows stretched unnaturally across walls. The higher he climbed, the heavier the air felt, as if the building itself were breathing. That's when he noticed it, a room he hadn't seen in the old blueprints, hidden behind a sliding panel near the top floor. The door creaked as he pushed it open. Inside was a small chamber with dozens of clocks, each ticking at a different speed. Some moved so fast that the hands blurred, others so slow that it felt like time had stopped. At the center of the room, a mirror reflected Ethan, but when he looked closely, the reflection was slightly delayed, moving a fraction of a second behind him. Curiosity overcame caution. Ethan reached out to touch the mirror. The moment his fingers met the cold glass, the reflection smiled, a cruel, knowing smile that he hadn't made. Panic surged through him. The mirror rippled, like liquid, and suddenly he was standing in a version of the tower where everything was decayed, covered in cobwebs, as if decades had passed in seconds. Outside the window, the town appeared abandoned, and a crimson sun hung in the sky. Ethan tried to leave, but the door was gone. Every hallway led him back to the same chamber. The clocks ticked faster, then slower, warping his sense of reality. He called for help, but only his voice echoed, distorted, from the mirrors. Then he saw them, figures barely human, flickering in and out of existence, trapped in the loops of time like him. Each one screamed silently, their mouths moving, but no sound came. Hours, days, or maybe years passed, Ethan could not tell. The mirror whispered, though no voice was audible, feeding memories he had long buried. The argument with his father, the accident he caused, the moments he wished he could undo. Every regret became a phantom, chasing him through the tower, each tick of a clock amplifying his fear. Desperation clawed at his mind. He smashed clocks, trying to stop the madness, but the destruction only accelerated the chaos. The hands spun wildly, striking him with visions of the past and future, blending reality into nightmare. One mirror, cracked and bleeding black liquid, drew him in. Ethan's reflection reached out from within, pulling him closer. He realized then that the time haunt was not just a trap, it was a sentient force, feeding on those who tried to conquer time. Then, a sudden silence fell. The clocks stopped. The figures vanished. Ethan found himself back at the entrance of the tower, the first rays of dawn illuminating a normal, peaceful town. But when he looked into his pocket, he found a tiny clock ticking erratically, one hand spinning backward. Ethan's skin crawled. The town might seem safe, the tower might seem empty, but he knew the truth. Time was no longer linear. He had returned, but he was no longer alone. Something followed him, a presence in every tick of every clock, a shadow in every mirror, and at midnight it would call him back again. For now Ethan lived, but he could hear the faintest ticking from the corner of every room. Time haunted him, and there was no escape.